As we've been walking our way through the resurrection appearances of Jesus in the Gospels, one thing we've discovered is that all four Gospels contain some form of commissioning of the disciples. Matthew's Great Commission is the most well-known, but all include one. All except for John. He has two. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Saturday, April 6th, 2024. The Gospels differ on a pretty fair number of details about the life and ministry of Jesus. This is not unexpected, though. Over the decades between the death and resurrection of Jesus, on the one hand, and the time when the Gospels were committed to writing, a period of at least 30 years elapsed. In that time, it would be normal for stories that were repeated and handed down orally to differ with respect to some of the details. If you stop and think about it, that's exactly why there are four Gospels in the canon of the New Testament and not simply one. Now, even though they differ with respect to a variety of details, they do show a remarkable consistency about some particular things. They all agree, for example, that Jesus centered his ministry in the area around the Sea of Galilee. They all agree that he went to Jerusalem in the last week of his life, where he had many confrontations with the religious authorities and where he met his death. They all agree that women went to the tomb early on the day after the Sabbath, only to find the tomb empty. They all agree that the women went to tell the disciples about what they had seen, and they all agree that Jesus appeared later to the disciples and instructed them to go and spread the good news of what God had done in Jesus Christ. As you probably already know, the Gospel of John reads very differently from the other three Gospels. He includes stories not found in the other Gospels, and the stories he does tell, he tells them in a much longer fashion. For example, whereas the other Gospels tell of the Last Supper in just a few short verses, John takes fully 5 chapters to detail what Jesus said to his disciples as they sat at table. And John includes a story at the very end of the Gospel not found in the others. It is one of the most memorable stories in the entire New Testament. The story begins when the disciples return to Galilee and decide they're going to return to fishing. As they're in the boats early one morning, they see a stranger on the shore. It's really Jesus. When the stranger asks them about their catch and they tell him that they've caught nothing, he tells them to cast their nets on the other side of the boat. When their nets are suddenly full, they realize that it is Jesus on the shore. When they get back to shore, they find a campfire going and Jesus cooking fish and bread. After he breaks bread and fish and gives it to them, they eat together. Then after they finish their breakfast, Jesus has this conversation with Peter. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter felt hurt because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt and to go wherever you wished. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go." He said this to indicate the kind of death by which he would glorify God. After this, he said to him, "Follow me." This is a beautiful and memorable story, and generations of us have taken it as a call to care for one another. We ministers in particular take it as a call to care for the people we serve. Here's the thing. It is a commissioning to service. It may lack the broad mandate to carry the gospel into all of the corners of the world, but it is a commission nevertheless. It reminds us that in carrying the gospel into the world, it is about caring for others. Telling the good news without demonstrating what the good news looks like is not simply enough. It is in caring for others that we bear witness to the love, grace, and mercy of God in Jesus Christ. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.